Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to call this meeting of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality to order. Today is Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. The time is 9:30 a.m. With us today are Commissioners Bobby Janeka and Katarina Gonzalez, as well as our General Counsel, Mary Smith, and I'm John Neerman. Registration has now closed, but if you'd like to address the Commission on a particular item, I'd invite you to visit our registration table or email agenda@tceq.texas.gov with your name, your affiliation, and the item that you'd like to speak to, and we will do our best to accommodate the request. For those who are addressing the Commission, our General Counsel or I will let you know what your time limits look like, and we'll let you know when it's your turn. I want to thank everybody for being present today, and Ms. Smith, I'll ask you to please go ahead and call the first item. Ms. Smith, when you're ready, please call the next item.
Item number 2 is the consideration of the application by Municipal Operations LLC for the new TIPD's permit number WQ001-617-1001. And the parties have been notified that the commissioners will not take oral argument, but may ask questions, and those who have signed in will be noted for the record.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. I just want to acknowledge that there are a number of people who are in attendance today in opposition to this application. I appreciate that. Just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, the matter that's before us today is considering requests for a contested case hearing. So what's before us today is not about the merits of the application or the substance of the application, just whether we're going to grant a request for contested case hearing. And Chapter 55 of our rules provides a two-part analysis for that inquiry for evaluating hearing requests. First, we consider whether the requesters have met the procedural and substantive requirements to be entitled to a contested case. And assuming that at least one requester meets those requirements, we then consider which issues are appropriate to refer for a hearing. So part 1 is about who gets a hearing, and part 2 is about which issues are referred. Requesters who are affected in a manner different from the general public and who make timely comments articulating personal concerns that are relevant and material to the application and who express those concerns in a timely hearing request are entitled to a hearing. And I think I might add that what's relevant and material to the application is what the law prescribes for the Commission to look at in determining whether this person has a particular personal concern that's within our jurisdiction. Sometimes we call it a personal justiciable interest. Associations can have standing if, among other factors, they identify a member of the organization who would or could have standing in their own right. And governmental entities can have standing if, among other factors, they demonstrate a statutory interest in or a statutory authority in or another interest in issues relevant to the application. Now, colleagues, we have numerous requests on this application, and let me just begin with the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance. I agree with the Executive Director and OPIC that this association has indeed met the procedural and substantive requirements to be entitled to a hearing, including the identification of members who live within 1.25 miles of the proposed facility. Given the discharge rate of 1 million gallons per day in the final phase, I think it's reasonable to conclude that these members are affected in a manner different from the general public and could have standing in their own right. There are 4 governmental entities that requested a hearing. I would grant the request of the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District. The district's authority derives from the City of San Antonio's Home Rule Authority under Chapter 551 of the Texas Local Government Code and includes responsibility for public health, which reasonably implicates the protection of water supplies. I would deny the other 3 governmental requests. SAWS failed to file timely public comments. In my view, the city of Gray Forest is not quite close enough to the proposed outfall to be affected in a manner different from the general public. its ETJ being more than 1.5 miles away, and its city limits roughly 2 miles away. The Helotes City Council did not cite sufficient statutory authority over or interest in the matter, and Helotes itself is more than 5 miles downstream from the site. Turning to the numerous individual requesters, nearly all of them failed to meet one or more requirement. Some reside too far from the proposed facility to be affected in a manner different from the general public. Some failed to submit timely comments, and some failed to raise a personal concern that is relevant and material to the application. In my analysis, colleagues, Elizabeth Ann Topperwine is the only individual who met all of the requirements, so I would grant her request and deny the others. So to sum it up, I've found 3 affected parties and think that we should refer their request to SOA for a hearing. And again, those are the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance, the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District, and Ms. Topperwine. So let me pause there and see how you came out.
I appreciate you laying out your analysis, Chairman. I reached the same conclusion in terms of parties and their respective effectiveness.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, and analyzing this under our rules and the law, I reached the same conclusion as to those 3 parties being
Okay.
affected ones.
Thank you. Well, let me turn to the issues. I think the 3 requesters did a very capable job of preserving a suite of issues on this matter, and so I would refer the following. Concerning the draft permit, whether it's adequately protective of water quality, including surface water, groundwater, and water in drinking water wells, whether it's protective of endangered species and other wildlife, whether it adequately addresses nuisance odors, whether it meets the siting requirements regarding floodplains and wetlands, whether the notice requirements were met, whether the operator is adequately identified, and whether the Commission should deny or alter the terms and conditions of the draft permit based on need or regionalization as those policies are understood under Chapter 26 of the Water Code. So that's how I would define the issues. Commissioner Janetka?
I'm in agreement on those issues.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
I agree with those issues.
Okay, I think we're about ready for a motion. Let me just add that I would deny the request for reconsideration since I don't see that they present any new facts. I would include a referral for alternative dispute resolution along with the referral to SOA, and I would allow the full amount of time, permissible 180 days for the hearing.
I'm good with that. Those decisions.
Do you need a motion?
I think we're ready for a motion.
I move that we grant the hearing requests of the Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance, the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District, and Elizabeth Ann Topperwine, that we deny all remaining hearing requests and requests for reconsideration, that we refer the application to SOA for a contested case hearing on the following issues. A, whether the draft permit is adequately protective of water quality, including surface water, groundwater, and drinking water wells. B, whether the draft permit is protective of wildlife, including endangered species, in accordance with the Texas Surface Water Quality Standards and 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 307. C, whether the draft permit adequately addresses nuisance odor in accordance with 30 Texas Administrative Code, Section 309.13E. D, whether the draft permit complies with siting requirements regarding floodplains and wetlands in accordance with 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 309. E, whether applicants substantially complied with applicable public notice requirements. F, whether the applicant adequately identified the operator in the application. And G, whether the Commission should deny or alter the terms and conditions of the draft permit based on consideration of need under Texas Water Code Section 26.0282 and the general policy to promote regional or area-wide systems under Texas Water Code Section 26.081. That we refer the matter to the Commission's Alternative Dispute Resolution Program to run concurrently with SOA's scheduling process, and that we set a hearing duration of 180 days from the date of the preliminary hearing until the proposal for decision is issued.
I second the motion.
The motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Ms. Smith, when you're ready, please call the next item.